الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام الأتمان الأكملان على آخر الأنبياء والرسل في الدنيا وأولهم وأرفعهم ذكرا وشأنا في الآخرة سيدنا محمد وعلى آله الأطهار وصحبه الأخيار ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم التناد والمعاد وسلم تسليما كثيرا. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي امري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. First and foremost, I would like to express my profound gratitude to the organizers of this event on the occasion of Islamic History Month in Canada, to share my thoughts and insights about the Gambia. I hope by the end of the event, at least everyone will leave here with little knowledge about the Gambia, because normally people confuse Gambia for Zambia. So normally people ask me, where are you from? I say, I'm from Gambia. Oh, you mean Zambia? I say, no, Gambia. And these two countries are far from each other. You know, Zambia is in Southern Africa, and Gambia is in West Africa. And sometimes I don't blame them because Gambia doesn't appear that much in the news. So it is a very stable, peaceful country. So if Gambia was a turbulent country like we see in other countries, it would have been famous. But Gambia is a very small country. Actually, Gambia is the smallest country on mainland Africa, the smallest. So with a total size of 11,295 square kilometers. So it is a very, very small country. It has been named after River Gambia because Gambia is a narrow strait that follows the course of the River Gambia. So that's why if you look at the map, you see that Gambia is like an enclave within Senegal, except for the coastal line on the Atlantic Ocean. So the population is also relatively small, 2.8 million people. So it's a very small population compared to other countries in West Africa, like Senegal or Mali. We have so many ethnic groups in Gambia. So Gambia is a multi-ethnic, multi-linguistic country. So, but we have major ethnic groups, including Mandinka. So Mandinka constitutes 33% of the population. But you have people who are not Mandinka, who are not from the Mandinka ethnic group, but they speak Mandinka. So the speakers of Mandinka in the Gambia, constitute 38% of the entire population, followed by Fula or Tuplok. So, and they are fair in complexion, So some historians say that they really came from North Africa, Mauritania and so on. So those constitute 18% of the population, and they are credited for introducing Islam in the Gambia. And then you have Wolof. Wolof is spoken by 12% of the population, but however, it is a prestigious language because when the colonial administration was running the Gambia, so the Wolof were the main collaborators. So they got the opportunity to receive Western education. They were educated. So they were, after independence, they continued to take part in the running of the country. So it is a very major language, very prestigious, even though it is considered a minority language because Mandinka constitutes 30 to 33% of the population. But because Mandinkas mostly, they live in rural areas, but Wolofs live in urban areas, so that gives them the advantage and the leverage. However, the official language of the Gambia is English. Yeah, a language spoken by only 10% of the population. Only 10% of the population speaks English. Yes, it is the official language. So if you go to any government institution, any documentation, any paperwork is done in English. So that is what we call colonial legacy. So this is an issue I'm tackling as part of my research in post-colonial studies. Regarding religions, so Islam is the majority religion in the Gambia. So we have 97% of the population. 97% of the Gambian population is Muslim. So it is the majority religion in the Gambia. Followed by Christianity, 3.5%. So Christianity was introduced by colonial people. So when they colonized the Gambia, they brought missionaries, in order to convert people to Christianity. Yes, they kind of failed in that mission. Still Islam remained as a majority religion in the Gambia. So the majority of Gambians are Sunni Muslims. So the majority of Gambians are Sunni Muslims, and many of them follow the Maliki school of thought and Madhab Maliki. So until recently, the Sufi orders, Turkul Sufiya, like Tijaniya, Qadiriyya, have been influential in the Gambia. But then we have people traveling to like Egypt, to Azhar Sharif, to Jami Islami Medina Munawwara. When those people came, they kind of also introduced other orders other than the Sufi order. So that's why Arabic holds an important religious role in the Gambian society, though it's not a native language. So myself, a lot of people ask me, how did you know Arabic? Do your parents speak Arabic? No, they don't. So you don't go to a household in the Gambia and you find people speaking Arabic. But because the majority of Gambians are Muslims, so they have to learn Arabic to read the Quran, to know fiqh. So their learning of Arabic is related to the practicing of the religion. So you cannot pray without knowing the Quran and all this. So that's why Arabic plays that religious role in the Gambia. So many Gambians learn Arabic at a very early stage. So even if they go to English schools, in the evening they go to what is called Dara. Dara is a small group of people who learn Quran. So Dara is something very essential in the Gambian society. And also, in the past, they used to use Arabic script, and it is called Ajami. They used to use that for correspondence. Our ancestors and elders, they did not receive any formal English education. They just studied Arabic, Quran, Tafsir, and Hadith. And amazingly, those people, they mastered Nahu, Sarf. But when you ask them to speak, they can't. They don't speak Arabic. But for their correspondence, they use Arabic script. I myself, I witnessed that, for example, somebody writing a letter in Mandinka, for example. They would use the Arabic script, later or from so Abidala. So you can see the Arabic script, So that shows the influence of Arabic. So particularly in languages like Mandinka, Wolof, and Fula, they use Arabic a lot. So of recent, let's say from the 60s, we also started seeing formal Arabic schools. So those who were educated in Egypt, and came back, who studied in Saudi Arabia and they came back, they established formal Arabic schools. So now we have those schools, particularly from primary till high school. So I'm one of those who started the education in those schools. I studied, that's why I learned Arabic. So now, learning Arabic has shifted, In the past, it was just for religious purposes, right? But when those schools were established, so they taught speaking, they taught writing, so not just to memorize, so they played a very crucial role in the spread of Arabic and Islamic studies in the Gambia. And in the last, let's say, 10 years, so now we also have bilingual schools, so they teach both Arabic and English. So Arabic has been very influential, even though people do not speak Arabic fluently in the Gambia, because they borrowed Arabic words. All these many languages that I mentioned, like Mandinka, Suba, don't praise, because Suba, Subh, from the Arabic word Subh, okay? Zakah, they say Jamu, all right? So in word, for example, they say Jaman. Jaman az-zaman. Jaman, yani zaman, you see? So you have, if somebody want to say thank you, they say abaraka. Abaraka, thank you. It's an Arabic from Arabic. So Arabic has been very influential in Gambia's languages. So regarding colonization, I don't want to dwell on that much, but just to give you a brief idea, so that early European contact took place between 15th and 17th century. So precisely in 1445, Portuguese explorers were the first to reach River Gambia. So by the 17th century, Gambia was a place of interest to the British, to the French. Okay, so between 17th and 19th centuries, the Gambia became a major center of the Atlantic slave trade. I think that most of you must have heard about Kunta Kinte. So Kunta Kinte is from Jufre, from the Gambia. So he was one of the most famous slaves. So until you all know that, in 1885, 1886, Africa was like in the infamous Berlin Conference. Africa was like chopped off randomly. Okay, you France, you take this. Germany, you take this. Gambia, you take Britain, you take this. So Gambia became a British colony officially in 1888. So it doesn't make sense if you look at the map. And you can see that the Gambia is like, and some would say, a town within Senegal. So definitely, it doesn't make sense. If you go to southern Senegal, what is amazing, if you are in northern Senegal, you cannot reach the southern Senegal until you cross a whole country called Gambia. So divide and rule. So Gambia and Senegal should have been one country. So that's why you have something called Senegal. Actually, the leaders of these two countries in 1982, President Jawara of the Gambia and President Diouf, they decided to form a confederation between these two countries. Because the same people in Senegal, I mentioned Wolof. Wolof is a language spoken in only two countries, Gambia and Senegal. Same culture, same people, same food, same everything. But that confederation fell apart in 1989 because of this colonial legacy. Gambia being a former British colony and Senegal being a former French colony, so the confederation could not survive. So that is something very, very unfortunate. So Gambia, in terms of the social life, since we are also talking about life in Gambia, so you can see a very strong sense of community in the Gambia. So people attend each other's naming ceremonies. You can see somebody, instead of going to work, okay, I have a naming ceremony that I need to attend here. There is a wedding I need to attend here. So this sense of community is very strong. Even in the greeting, you can sense that. So instead of just saying hi, in Gambia they say, Abinyadi, Ibaro Binyadi, so how is your health? So this shows you how, the community sense is. And also respect for elders. This is very essential in the Gambian community. So that's why when you greet an elderly people, you greet them with both hands to show respect. And Gambians, I'm not being subjective, like Gambians are very hospitable. To the extent that people say that Gambian people respect foreigners better than their own native people, native Gambians or fellow Gambians, So when you go to Gambia, I wish Sister Mem was here, to throw some light on that. So Gambians are very hospitable, so that's why Gambia has attracted a lot of people. So now we have a lot of, even particularly Black Americans, relocated to the Gambia. Because basically it is a very peaceful country, no conflict. Gambia has never seen a civil strike of any sort since independence until today. They are so peaceful. So and there is a lot of intermarriage. So in Gambia, that's also helped enforce this social harmony. So you find that a lot of Mandinka, Yola, Mali. So intermarriage is prevalent in the Gambia. So that's why even people, motion politicians, you cannot divide Gambian people. Because my mom is Wolof and my father is Mandinka. My grandfather is Yola and my grandfather is Esere. So this is how Gambia became a peaceful country. Regarding the core topic, the history of Islam in the Gambia, I should start by saying that Islam arrived in Africa well before the Prophet ﷺ migrated to Medina. So the first place Muslims migrated was Abyssinia, and Habasha is Ethiopia. So Islam is not strange to Africa. But when you ask when Islam arrived in the Gambia, that is kind of tricky because there was nothing called Gambia as it is today. So Gambia was part of the Ghana Empire, and then was part of the Mali Empire, and Gambia was then part of Senegambia. So that's why it is hard for historians to pinpoint or to determine the exact date of the introduction of Islam in the Gambia. However, I should say that Islam first arrived in West Africa, of which Gambia is part, from North Africa, basically Mauritania and Morocco, between 8th and 11th century. All right, so that is when exactly Islam arrived in West Africa. For the Gambia, then of course Gambia became a British colony and all this, So the British, as I said earlier, they wanted to introduce Christianity in the Gambia. They were so desperate that they lured people into Christianity by offering them like scholarships. Just become a Christian and then we give you a scholarship, to the extent that they ask some people to change their names. So that's why in Gambia, our former foreign minister, his name is like Babukar Blaise Jan, and you wonder where this place came from. Meaning that his father was asked to change his name. You will be surprised that the Gambia's first president is a bona fide Muslim. His dad was a Muslim, his grandfather was a Muslim, but because they gave him scholarship to study in Britain, they asked him to change his name. Not only change his name, and to convert to Christianity. And he complied. He became David Jawara instead of Dawda Jawara. And his parents disavowed him. They said, as long as you are David, you are not our son. We don't have anything to do with you. And they put pressure on him. Then he reverted to Islam and became Dawda Jawara again. He is the first Gambian president. So despite that, people were very resistant. Like a village called Gunjur, the one who introduced Islam to Gunjur is Kombo Ture. Kombo Ture was running that township in accordance with Sharia. So when the British came, they put pressure on him, they said, no, you cannot run your place in accordance with Sharia. So they reached a compromise. They said, okay, now, Zawaj and Nikah, okay, you do all those in Sharia, Talaq, Sharia, So this is how they try to influence. The role of Marabous, so you hear about Marabous. Marabous have played a crucial role in the spread of Islam in the Gambia. So they used to have something called Majlis. Majlis is an Arabic word, but they say Majliso. Majliso is like a learning circle. So the sheikh comes and teaches kids Quran and all this. So before this formal system came into being, so they mostly they were Sufi. So that's why I mentioned that Sufism was very prevalent in the Gambia. In the Senegal, let me put it that way. And we should not forget about the role of Sheikh Ahmed Bamba, Sheikh Omar Fouti. Those people were even waged jihad against the colonialists, in order to make sure that Islam is preserved in those places. So by the 20th century, Islam had become dominant in the Gambia. Can you imagine? So that's why around 18th century, Muslims were like 20%, but by the mid-20th century, they were 85%. And now 97%, alhamdulillah. So, and I cannot conclude without also mentioning the role of those who establish these schools, and they also not only establish English, Arabic schools in the Gambia, they also established Islamic organizations, Islamic centers like Sheikh Hattab Bojang, Sheikh Sajafat. All those people have played a very pivotal role in the spread of Islam in the Gambia. I was given 15 to 20 minutes, so I'm done now. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa barakatuh.